Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Folks, this month we're heading to the town of Bedrock to celebrate our favorite modern Stone Age family, the Flintstones. Join us as we follow the Flintstones to the movies and witness their prehistoric evolution through time. A journey full of spy thrills, ooh, crossovers, yeah, weddings, aw, a lot of heart, and marriage counseling. Ugh. So, park yourself in the drive in and order some oversized ribs as we start our Flintstones Film Fest. Tonight's feature presentation. Dragon, ask me if I liked this movie.
Tiki, do you like this movie?
Yabba dabba doo!
Yabba-dabba-doo!
All right, so Dragon, I'm just going to dive right into this. This one really hit the nail on the head for me, man. I love this one. This one was really firing on all cylinders. I got to admit, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for it. I'm sure I saw it as a kid because it's a big idea. It's kind of like the all grown up of its era, except a little bit more into the future in this timeline. But yeah, I got to admit, Dragon, I was stricken by how dramatic this movie is, man.
I gotta be honest, I'm just so relieved that you like this.
Dragon, this is easily the best one so far, I think.
Yep. Oh yeah, mate. Okay, so I'm sorry. Do you want to keep going? Should I transition into
No,
mine?
you know what? I could gush about it all day, but go ahead and transition to your thoughts. I really like this one a lot.
Yeah, Tiki, I have all the nostalgia for this movie. This has always been my go-to Flintstones movie. The most nostalgic Flintstones film for me. I'll tell you my story with this one. So
Go ahead.
when I was a kid, I rented this one from the public library. It was like a VHS rental. It's probably like the first, if not like one of the earliest, rentals I ever got from the library. Um, again, it was just like an animated Flintstones movie I'd never seen before. Again, because I mean, at this point in time, it probably the Man Called Flintstone, the live action film, was all that was really out. I guess Viva Rock Vegas. I mean, basically those were kind of like the three Flintstones movies. All the rest of them, I had no idea. Like, oh, we did the crossover with the Jetsons, or we did this. I mean, these were kind of like the mind bending. Oh my god, we're doing everything with the Flintstones now.
Marriage counseling.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of how kind of early it was.
Yeah.
See, I had no idea this thing existed, and I was like, oh my
John
god, yeah, but
Cena.
because I'm thinking like wedding. I mean, that Viva Rock Vegas movie that was Fred and Wilma's wedding. What is this? So I'm watching this, and again, just mind blowing how just how this. Honestly, for me, what really gets me looking back on it now is I think just in watching it the first time is that it's just in its DNA. It's mind blowing how this broke the cardinal rule of cartoons. With the landmark cartoon, which is we never age the kids. It's like the cardinal rule, like the thing you never do, at least for the most part. Like so rarely
So,
do you do
Dragon, in other words, is this a good evidence for why The Incredibles 2 should have had a flash forward?
Not really the same correlation at all, Tiki. You're still
I know. I just saw an opportunity to bring it up. But yeah, this is a perfect example of a good flash forward.
Yeah, I mean, here it's very much Father of the Bride meets the Flintstones. It's look, all in all, I love this thing, but I will admit with some hindsight, maybe it's not perfect. I will say this though, it does succumb, and I think possibly the origin point, which would be interesting, is given how we've gone through these chronologically. I'm pretty sure this is the origin point for some of the Flintstone movie tropes that will kind of permeate the rest of the movies going forward. Where you have, like it's, some certain tropes, particularly like the pattern of the plot. It's kind of the origin to like, we always have to have a crime plot in the Flintstones movie. I believe that starts here.
Uh-huh.
Again, I adore how as I was gushing about with the Man Called Flintstone, I love it when we give Fred
the Man Called Flintstone.
Exactly. I love giving Fred some layers here.
Dragon, I've got a poster quote for you.
What do you got? Yeah.
I got a poster quote, and I'm sorry. Do you see this? Edit your search term
No.
or enter your search term on the
No, I'm just seeing like a
on the
little
root.
magnifying glass. That's about it.
Okay, that's good because it's on my screen and it's driving my OCD
All right.
up the wall. Anyways, my poster quote, Dragon. The man called Flintstones has all the style. This has all the substance.
Nice. So I mean that's it right there, because the thing I was gushing about most in The Man Called Flintstone was the scene in the park with Pebbles, and it's like getting like adding layers to the man. We do that all over the place here. Emotionally, this movie utterly guts me in places, man. If
It
it gutted
does,
me,
man. It's super intense. I was not expecting that.
there's this one scene, Tiki, that it
Oh God.
legitimately wells me up when we get to it. It's not even this. It's probably not the scene you're thinking of. It's just this one. I don't know. Maybe it is. It's this one scene that is just kind of like. It's a very dramatic. It's a very dramatic yet mundane scene, but it just emotionally, it's like the saddest thing I've ever seen ever. Just gets me. Like, oh my god, no.
Sadder than Snoopy Come Home.
I mean, look. Obviously, in a
We need
contest,
to do a
Snoopy.
retrospective on Snoopy Come Home
Look,
at some.
obviously, in a contest, Snoopy legitimately will get it, but I mean, this one kind of instinctively is in my DNA. It kind of gets me on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
similar level of like it's so ridiculous. Yeah, it shouldn't, but it does. So to me, this and this and I'm sorry. Let me. What was I?
The man called Flintstone.
Yes, certainly my my go-to is, but I mean, here's the thing though. This and maybe along with kind of the Mangle Flintstone, but I mean, sorry, more so this and some of the following movies in the trilogy. There's like a Pebbles and Bam Bam trilogy of Flintstones
Uh-huh.
TV movies, and I mean, they really these films really kind of are like ways to close the book on the Flintstone story in many respects. I do feel this one is kind of think of it this way: The Man Called Flintstone is like the tribute to the show, in which it's like this is Fred Flintstone going out on top, essentially. Which again is like if you wanted to close the book and like ending on a high point, you could have with that. In terms of again doing kind of a Mask of the Phantasm, like this is like Flintstones at kind of a perfected form and like a gorgeous
Sure,
animation and
sure,
that
yeah.
sort of thing. This is kind of the
Blue
story
Meth
equivalent to that.
Flintstone.
Exactly, in terms of like how to do Flintstones on the big screen and give them like a big movie to go out on. In this case, this is kind of like the ends of that story, where again, Pebbles and Bam Bam, they've grown up, and the next movie gives them kids and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like we kind of close the book on the story of the modern Stone Age family with the next modern Stone Age family. And I think Tiki, it just struck me just absolutely right that a property all about marriage in the Stone Age, what better way to end it than marrying the kids off? I mean, tell me that isn't like the perfect way to end that
Okay, I
story.
will give it one caveat, and I'll drop it at that because I know this isn't really the most popular opinion in the world. Because as you know, Dragon, I have someone in my life that I consider my sister, and it's a very similar kind of like Pebbles Bam Bam sort of situation in the fact that like we've known each other literally since we were babies. So I don't know, like to me, there's a little bit of a line of like, all right, if you literally grew up with each other since you were infants, I don't know, look, it's fine. I feel like the kids are cute together. I do have a couple nitpicks about the characterization on both their ends,
And
but they're both
that's what
nitpicks.
I'm saying. Not perfect,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, the whole is pretty much it's a really engaging
Dragon,
piece
I
of
have
it.
one more like really weird analogy, and I really hope you're going to get behind this, but I'm not sure if you
Well,
will or
let's
not.
see. What do you got?
Okay, so this movie genuinely gives me anxiety. It's like I feel like this movie is like an anxiety machine, just in terms of like the mounting bills and just like all the stuff going wrong. So, Dragon, I want to imagine, if you will. I know you probably haven't seen Get Out, or wait, have you seen Get Out?
Yes, I've seen Get Out. Yeah,
Okay,
we've
okay.
talked
So I
about
want you
this.
to imagine a Jordan Peele movie
Okay.
where it's kind of like the father of the bride premise, except things are going just terribly wrong, and you're in the father's shoes, and there's like all this mounting pressure, and it's kind of like done in that Jordan Peele kind of like socio political commentary masked as horror. Like Dragon, I was getting that kind of vibe from this thing, man. Like I know that's a weird stretch, but like I feel like that's a good like kind of like how Get Out sort of like brings out like kind of like a certain kind of heightened anxiety for a certain situation. I feel like this was very much like I was in Fred's shoes, man. I was like, oh my god, Fred's ruined. Like Fred is fucked. He's got to go. He might as well just go join the Squid Games at this
But
rate, right?
basically, the stakes aren't manufactured like they are in the Jetsons crossover. Is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
So
It's
it's not
like
like we
Dragon. I
need.
mean, this is like this to me is like a. It's like as far as the stakes for Flintstones goes, which Flintstones is very much a very very middle class suburban family sitcom. This is Endgame, man. This is do or die. All right. So on that note, let's see. We have one comment here. We have that guy. I think Tiki is the first human being to compare Flintstones to Get Out.
Yeah, I think
That
so.
guy,
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like part of my brand, though, is that I kind of like I kind of have like such a wide, Venn diagram of interest. So I kind of pride myself on that. But thank you. Anyways, so happy to have you here, that guy, as always. Dragon, why don't you get things started with some background for us?
Okay, so this came out in '93. So this is a year before the live action film, so this is a TV movie. Now, at this point, I believe this is after Turner bought Hanna-Barbera, and I don't know if this was like literally at the same time they did the Cartoon Network thing as well, like when they were, when Turner also got their hands on that, and they basically lumped Hanna-Barbera into that, and that's pretty much when it all goes under one umbrella. Not sure, but at this point, this is when they bought Hanna-Barbera, and this is when you have some
I
of the
feel like would this have gone under like the Cartoon Network theater banner?
well, that's what I'm saying. I believe at that point, if Turner had Cartoon Network now, when they acquired Hanna Barbera, I believe then it would have gone to the cartoon, the theater thing. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think so. Let me put it this way. Yeah, this one was probably the first because there basically are a few tentpole films that this was the beginning of the transition. You had this, and you had this in one of the Mook animation Scooby Doo films we talked about.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Probably towards the latter part of that run. I don't know if Alien Invasion was it or not. It could have been Alien
I love
Invasion
that
or
Cartoon Theater is kind of like the Cartoon Network equivalent to the DComs.
sure.
Anyways,
All right, so yeah, let's see. So again, after the Flintstones, after the Flintstones original six-season run, which by the way, I've been binging through. I've been lightly binging through it on HBO Max. I had no idea it was on HBO Max. Apparently, the
I
original
did not
Flintstones.
know it was HBO. It was on HBO Max either. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's been a good time. Just kind of going through the. I'm in the first season right now. It's yeah. Anyway, so so after the original six-season run, the Flintstones had kind of a quiet period, and then they were rebranded, and they came back during kind of the next era in Hanna Barbera when they were kind of leaning towards kind of the Scooby Doo kind of generation, where they're doing all the teen knockoffs of Scooby Doo.
Uh-huh.
So in '71, they had for like a season, they had the Pebbles and Bam Bam show, which basically it featured
I remember that.
yeah, you know what I remember from that?
Oh God, what?
The designs compared to this movie were terrible.
Yeah.
Because like Bam Bam had like a barrel chest, they looked like
It's like,
crap.
what happened to you, Bam Bam?
It's like Bam Bam looked terrible in that
Oh
show.
God.
I just can't get over it because again I have so much nostalgia for this movie, and the designs I think on the two of them look so much better here than they did in their own show. Anyway, benefit of
Let's
hindsight.
see. That guy says, "Yappa dabba do me."
Oh yes,
reference.
yes. If I recall, that's from the new season, the last season where they did the cartoon, they did the whole cartoon thing.
Oh, that's funny. That's
They basically Lucifer got sucked in. Essentially, I won't go into the details. He got sucked into a cartoon. He was animated for a brief portion. So they called the episode "Yabba Dabba Do Me."
Oh my God, that's amazing that it's the episode title.
I'm pretty sure that's the same episode. And they're like, "That's what else would you call it?" That it was either that or like I don't think they've done like a prehistoric themed episode. So no, yeah, it was like a tar pit golf course, but that was about it.
Anyways.
Okay, so point being, so the Pebbles and Bam Bam show was like, okay, so we're going to bring back the Flintstones in the background, kind of focus on the teen demographic, and they grew them up, and again, this is very much during the whole teen demographic shift. So big thing, this movie firmly reintroduces Rock Vegas, which is an important location for Fred and Wilma.
Yes. I like it's very much. I was very much like, ooh, world building.
Mm-hmm. So what happened was Rock Vegas was one episode in the original Flintstones run. Now, if I
Okay.
recall, they didn't mention. I haven't rewatched it yet, but if I recall, they just went to Rock Vegas. It wasn't like they didn't know at that point. Like, okay, so Fred and Wilma got married in Rock Vegas. So basically with a second bite at the apple here of like, okay, let's marriage. Let's we're going to talk about some eloping. So let's firmly get Rock Vegas in there. And let's kind of add this big spoke to the Fred and Wilma kind of wheel of how they got married in the first place. Fred screwed up classically, so they would go for a Vegas wedding. So again, that's a big temple that then gets expounded upon in a later film. Let's see. So again, oddly, history kind of repeats itself, where you have the Pebbles and have the Pebbles and Bam Bam. Again, you have the Pebbles and Bam Bam specials, sort of closing the book on the Flintstones in animation, much like we had with the Man Called Flintstone, in which that one was sort of like a closing the book on the show, and this is like kind of a closing the book on the Flintstone story. With the you had like this trilogy of Pebbles and Bam Bam films, all in the same year. So you had this. You have Holly Rock-a-Bye Bye, and then you have a Flintstones Family Christmas, so three kind of TV movies, all about kind of like Pebbles and Bam Bam, married kids, and then around the holidays. And oddly enough, the year after, you have the live-action one and the Christmas Carol Flintstone that we talked about, Flintstones Christmas Carol, 94. So again, that's the thing. So the Flintstones really did kind of go away for a while after that 94 Christmas Carol special. It was kind of like, I want to say they didn't come back until the outside of the live action movies. Basically they had kind of the irreverent animated stuff, like him on Harvey Birdman and him obviously on something else we might be talking about. I don't know. And lastly, so this was directed by Bill Hanna, who directed The Man Called Flintstone. And it was written by Rich Fogel, who we are familiar with. This guy, he wrote a majority. He's been on pretty much almost all the DCAU shows: Justice League, Batman Beyond, Superman the Animated Series, New Batman Adventures, and as far as the kind of like stuff beyond that, he had done stuff like Smurfs, Muppet Babies, and something I think you might be a little familiar with, Tiki, Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Wild West Cowboys! Yes, I am very familiar with Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
I took the leap based on that. I wasn't sure, but I took the leap.
Yes. Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa is like it is my favorite TMNT knockoff. I love it.
So again, I like Rich Fogel can do some good stuff. He's not my go-to DCAU writer, but he's been good. And again, as you can kind of see here, I think he delivered a really good really good product. Obviously, I think there's some mandated things he's kind of rolling with the punches within this in the writing process. But overall, yeah, that's how we get Yabba Dabba Do.
Okay. All right, so Dragon, like my God, you kind of teed like last one. I mentioned that every Flintstones movie there seems to be some sort of like dramatic high point with Fred and Barney's relationship. Like a big low of lows, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon, this is like the Fred and Barney low of lows, the movie.
Yeah,
and it's like I thought the live action movie was basically that.
I mean, I'd say possibly that rivals this, but by the same token, though, I mean, it gets pretty severe.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. So let's talk about just the Fred and Barney dynamic, just to build up the kids. All right, you want to kick us off with that?
Well, sure. I was going to mention. Can I mention something before we do that, though, real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I just want to highlight that
Dragon,
the opening.
Honestly, take the reins on this, man. This is your movie. Like, do whatever you want with it.
All right. So first off, I want to talk about the opening. We have Fred at the quarry, which by the way, my rewatching of the Flintstones, I found out something because I knew there was another Flintstones opening, but apparently the other opening was before they kind of cracked the code and we got to do the quarry. And the classic Flintstones opening is the one where he's running home to watch television. Anyway, so my point is, so this is the first time in one of the movies that we've opened with the Flintstones opening.
But I like that it's like just woven its way into the actual plot.
Yeah, I love
especially with what happens to Mr. Slate.
I know. This is what I was teeing up with my Mr.
It's so underplayed at the beginning, Dragon.
Which, by the way, this movie is deep down the reason I love Mr. Slate. Okay, this is for what happened. You know the bit later on with him. That's why I love Mr. Slate. So when I go back, it just. There's a lot of love. And like, yeah, let's see what
I
Mr.
think
Slate's doing.
easily the argument can be said Mr. Slade is definitely greater than Mr. Spacely at the
Oh,
very
easily,
least.
easily. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I love that. Basically, we do the opening here. Mr. Slade, he's just gonna casually think it's like a gag, but it's gonna have a payoff there where he gets hit with the dinosaur tail slide. Which, to be
No,
fair,
that's what I love about it, Dragon, is that at first glance it seems like just slapstick.
yeah. And
And
here's the thing.
honestly, like I filed it away in the back of my head, like, okay, that seems like a more serious than usual pratfall. Like, I wonder if that's gonna come back, you
Oh man, I
know?
hope he's okay.
And honestly, Dragon, that's kind of what I'm talking about with like the little like breadcrumbs of anxiety that this movie kind of like introduces.
Yeah, Mr. Slate will remember that.
Oh god, yes. You
Yeah,
want to
but
explain that gag, Dragon?
yeah, of course, like the Telltale games, these characters will remember that. It's like Harvey Dent will remember that. From the Telltale Batman
You
game.
slip and knock Mr. Slate down. Mr. Slate will remember that.
Yeah.
All
So
right,
Tika, that's what I'm saying. That's the great quality of this movie, though. Where again, in many respects, it is kind of like a great final Flintstones story in that we're paying off everything here. So when we do the usual status quo stuff, we're showing that things are changing. There are
uh-huh.
consequences. There's going to be implications. So anyway, so the open that was just kind of a fun thing. It does always kind of occur to me that Mr. Slate, he does this like every episode ever since they started that opening. So,
Right.
don't stand there, okay? Don't stand there when he does the slide. Everyone knows when that whistle goes off, he's going to do that slide down the dinosaur's
Right,
tail
yeah.
and rush on out. In this case, he is rushing on out of there for
Oh god.
essentially a
My
football
guy
game
says,
with Barney.
damn, now I'm just imagining Telltale Flintstones.
Wouldn't that be
I
great?
mean,
Though?
honestly, Flintstones would be the worst property to make a Telltale game out of. Because at the heart of I'm serious, because at the heart of Flintstones, it is kind of about social interactions in a way.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you'd have a lot of like, does Fred lose his cool on Barney or not?
Exactly. Yeah.
Does Fred yell at Wilma or no?
Right. Oh God.
Let's see. So let's see. So I guess the dilemma of the film, perhaps the T that
Dilemma.
Yes. So Fred the gambler, he bets the nest egg on a football game, the Brontos versus the Pachyderms. And again, the nest egg meaning pretty much all the savings. He bet all the savings, and he lost. And again, like we've seen that Fred is a bit of a gambling problem, especially in that Jetsons crossover. He got himself in some hot
I'm
water.
sorry. That guy's throwing out does Fred smoke or no? And so it's like I imagine at one point like someone specifically offers Fred a Winston cigarette.
Yeah, which I still think they should rebrand to Winstone, but that's just me.
That's right, Bond. Winston's taste good like a cigarette should.
All right.
There's your reference.
Okay. Anyway, so again, then basically, so once we learn that Pebbles and Bam Bam have gotten engaged, Fred is all of this very ill time for him, like an idiot. He insists on paying for the wedding, and then Barney offers to pay for half, and he's going to pay for a wedding with all the trimmings, and just like, no, you saying I can't pay for my own daughter's wedding?
So what I like about this premise is that I feel like at the beginning it almost kind of like dares you to be on Fred's side. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like
you
look at how much of a stupid idiot this guy is for putting himself into this situation.
But you absolutely, feel for him because he's very much treading water. He's underwater more so,
Dragon
It's
again, God, it's like I'm gonna make another comparison here, but like with the stakes, it's almost like weird comparison. All right, like I get that it's not on the same level of storytelling or anything, but it's almost Albuquerque verse-esque.
I mean, yeah, it's very season one, the 747 goal of it all,
Right, yeah. Where it's
achieve that,
just like, okay, like he's got one specific goal. He's got to pay for the wedding, and he can't let Wilma find out that he lost the nest egg. I feel like losing the nest egg is basically like the inciting incident, if you will.
Oh, yeah, and I love that it's rooted in a very kind of legit natural stakes for classic Flintstones episode. Okay, Fred's bet money and he's lost the money, but again, we've added just a real, we've added just kind of some real legit consequences. The big consequences of this time when Fred screwed up, it affects his daughter's happiness, and he's going to be in real deep trouble for a change. Versus the usual, it's the end of the 20 minutes, he'll be fine.
All right.
So
So yeah, one of the more interesting dynamics I think is just between kind of like the in-laws of it all. With I think specifically kind of like how Betty interacts with Fred. It's a small. It's like it's not the most dynamic relationship in the movie by a certain extent, but I like how Betty at this point she doesn't get a lot to do in the movie, but I like how she's more kind of just like in the background, like kind of just sort of like silently keeping the peace with Fred's bullshit in a lot
Betty
of
had
ways.
one moment in this movie I thought was really good. She had this
Okay.
moment where when Fred and Barney do their reconciliation, as they are wont to do after they fight, they have this reconciliation, or at least Fred's attempting the reconciliation. She pushes it forward when she hears, "Oh, Fred's trying to find the kids and stop them from eloping," and she just steps in like I love how we see her overhear the argument. She steps in like, "Barney, you have to help him."
Yeah,
But
yeah, totally. I know what you mean. I know what moment you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, admittedly, not the strongest bit of writing. That Wilma and Betty, they are kind of relegated to the whole. Basically, we had to give them something to keep them
Wilma has
busy
a
with
super
the.
dramatic moment in the low of lows, though.
Oh
You got to admit
no,
that.
no, no, no! She does. I'm just saying before
Like
that
that
point.
moment is basically the equivalent to Skylar chewing out Walt at the end of season 2.
Sure. Well, what I'm getting at is like before that point, just in general, we have to. It's kind of like it's really a story of Fred underwater and a bit of the love story on the side. So we don't really have time for Wilma and Betty until it then relates to the Fred story. So what we got to do is give them this catering business setup, which they do, by the way, continue with the trilogy. From what I understand, I haven't seen the third one yet, but at
Uh-huh.
least with the second one, they've started the catering business, so it kind of gets brought up here, and they cater the
And
wedding and
like the
everything.
Java lava.
Yeah. Wait, was it the Java lava? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
it's
think it
called?
was the Java
I
lava.
know it was the Java something. I forget if it was like.
Pretty sure it was the Java lava.
It wasn't called the lava Java. It had to be the Java lava.
It could have been lava Java.
That's what I'm saying. I can't remember which order it was. Anyway, the point being, so you see what I'm saying? They're getting kind of busy work because we really have to wait until like Wilma finds out, and it's kind of like, yeah, we're not really sure what to do. Wilma outside of the mother, outside of Pearl Slag, who will kicking at Fred's tires.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so okay, let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about Pebbles and Bam Bam. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I I am totally on Bam Bam's side this whole movie, Dragon. I am 100% team Bam Bam.
Yeah.
Because it's like Pebbles, she seems like a sweet girl, and it's like if if you grew up together and you got those feelings, that's fine. I think Pebbles, it's like she's lovable, she's definitely kind of like a head in the clouds kind of scatterbrain in this movie. But she's a little bit of a drama queen. And frankly, Dragon, I was getting a little bit of a DD Finster, or I'm sorry, a
What
DD
unholy
Pickles vibe
splicing are you thinking of?
a Pickles vibe with Wilma a little bit, just because I'm like, Wilma, you're not helping the situation. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess with Wilma though, it's like she doesn't know about the nest egg situation, so she just wants to go all out, and it's like, I guess she's not really. It's the Java lava.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, I guess she's not. I guess she's not really inadvertently causing the obstacle. It's like I like that Wilma is a plot point with that, like kind of pushing along the expensive stuff. Is like, oh Wilma, you don't know what you're doing. You think Fred has a nest egg, but he doesn't. Wilma, come
Yeah, so
on.
as far as she knows, she still has the nest egg. So she knows that they have the
But it's
finances
like I
for
like
this.
that because it's just like an inherent kind of like human bit of suspense. You know what I mean? It's like, no, Wilma. It's like I get why you're doing this, but you're not helping the situation and you don't know it. Oh God.
So I mean,
Anyways.
so here's the thing I really like about Pebbles and Bam. I like that. I love seeing the kids growing up, and I love seeing the DNA of their folks. Kind of in who they became when they were grown up. So I think that I think there's some inherent charm in just like, oh, check in. Oh, look at them all grown up. Ain't that cute? So like for example, so Pebbles, she's at an ad agency. She's a production assistant on roller skates, and of course the roller skates are kind of a paramount symbol of the film. Like she went from the little toddler roller skates to like she's on the roller blades. As anyway, so I love that. To me, she's like in the business world, she's as smart as Wilma Flintstone, but she's as emotional and stubborn as her father, which I think definitely kind of leads to maybe some of the
for sure.
unappetizing parts of her in the movie. Um, But again, I love it. Basically, Pebbles like tease up with the Pebbles story at the top. We tee up like the rom com setting of it all. Of like, okay, here's like all the rom com tropes right at the top. There's Mr. Pyrite, just like taking all the credit for her ideas. Like, oh god, and then like she's come up with the idea for shoes and all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, we have Bam Bam, of course. Um,
So I
here's
got
my
kind of sidetracked with Bam Bam, but I just wanted to say with him, what I like about him is he just wants to have a nice, simple wedding. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm 100% on his side the whole movie.
I adore Bam Bam of the two myself. I love that again. If she's in a rom com, this guy's he's Hallmark
It's like
bred
he's
Tiki.
sticking by her, he's sticking by her because that's what you do. But by the same token, it's like, he's casually mentioning, like, look, we don't need all this. We have each other. I just want to marry you. I don't care about the ceremony of it all.
If Pebbles is like in like a romantic comedy, he's Hallmark bred. He's like a Hallmark lead. It's kind of
right, totally.
he's a swell guy. I really like about so the voice actor on Bam Bam. I don't know him from much, but
He's
I know
the
that
guy that Chris Pine's possessed in Wonder Woman.
God. Okay, regardless, I like that the actor kind of sounds like Frank Welker took over the Barney Rubble role after Mel Blanc passed. So
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I love that the son sounds a little like it sounds more like Frank Welker not putting on a voice. He's not Frank Welker, but he sounds like him. I kind of like that.
A little bit, yeah, I can see that.
It's like this guy. It sounds like this guy could be Frank Welker's kid, which I really liked.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, but yeah, so I love that with Bam Bam's characterization here. He's got the brute strength, which has helped him out. He's like the best mechanic in town because he can lift up the giant stone cars very easily and switch out the wheels like light bulbs or like toilet paper rolls or something. I just love that he's romantic like his father, and he just has the sweetness of his father, and he's an aspiring writer. We have he as strong as he is, he doesn't want to be a fighter or anything. He wants to write things. He's got a creative side. No one thinks about it. So honestly, for me, like the two of the cons I have with the movie are we have the after we have a few of the rom com misunderstandings that get under my skin. Where I think we're doing so well everywhere.
All right, yeah, we got to talk about them. So go ahead.
So I'll give one. This one's a minor one, but then we'll get to the big one I can't excuse. So one we have we have the forced misunderstanding with the written proposal, whole the dear Pebbles letter, which is like I think the proposal is nice when he's holding back.
You know what? I feel like that's so ridiculous that it's almost kind of played for laughs.
Yeah.
How much of a happenstance it is.
So I mean that one at least I can enjoy because then it leads to like the proposal, which is funny, and like the ladies crimping my tail. You gotta say yes or not. So I mean, so that one's like again that's plays into kind of Pebbles being her father, and again Flintstones is built on the misunderstanding. Like, they're no Frasier, mind you, but the Flintstones are built on the misunderstanding comedies. So that all tracks, and but what I can't excuse. And I have very few qualms with the movie, but the qualms I do have, the biggest one being we had the pad run time with our rom com cliches, and the most egregious of which is we're calling off the wedding.
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, but I do like how it leads to that one super dramatic moment with with the ball dropping on the egg nest.
On the nest egg.
On the nest egg, yeah. Sorry. Right.
Sure. Well, I was. No, I'm not. Well, sorry. That's more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, just
no. I mean, like
singular fight.
Yeah, we have we literally need the pad out and stretch up.
Right.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So
okay,
the whole.
What the one thing that fucking saves that for me is, Dragon?
What is it?
Pebbles is almost Formiga-esque in her hysteria.
Okay, do you know who plays Pebbles?
Oh God, no, I don't.
It's Megan Mullally, from Parks
and
Rec.
Oh yes, and, okay. Oh my God, oh that's delightful.
Yeah, she's great.
We had a fight. Could you just imagine that? Oh God, okay. I just want you to picture Norman, and he's like Norman's just like seething because Romero and Mother have been out on a date, right?
Yep.
And then Norma I'm sorry, this is a bit of a tangent, but it's been a while since we've been able to reference Bates Motel, so I'm going to take it, all right? So Norma comes in, she's got like her makeup's all runny. It's like obvious she's been crying. Highmore perks up. He's like, "Oh, now is my chance." And he's like, "What's wrong, Mother? How was your date with Alex?" And then she's like, "No, Norman, we had a fight."
Oh,
All
God.
right.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry. I just saw that mental image in my head and I needed to take it.
So regardless, the temporary breakup, the fact that it's very obviously temporary, and like, oh man, they really missold this movie. Yabba dabba do. The
That
wedding's
guy
not
did
going to
not
happen.
know the South Park movie was going to do the kids growing up thing, but I got to admit I'm not. That's not the worst idea in the world. I'm interested in that. All right.
So yeah, there's the fact that what constituted this stupid temporary breakup was like the skinflint joke of like, you gotta admit your father is a little tight with the buck. He's a skinflint. She just blows it completely out of proportion. She agreed with him for a bit, and then she just went completely off on him. So the fact is, Pebbles very stubborn like her father, and Bam Bam eventually, he
Well,
just
like I said, it's like it's so stubborn that it's played for comedy, so I don't even really mind it that much.
yeah, I don't know. It's just I think plot wise, just feels like why do we have to force the 90-minute thing? All right, can't we come in a little under the 90 minutes?
Okay, you know what's funny is that for most of the DC animated movies we're talking about, it's like, come on, guys, why you got to be 80 minutes?
Yeah, we need more with
Why
DC.
can't we get a little bit more?
Zorro Land we're in now.
Yeah, exactly.
So ultimately, like, Bam Bam apologized. I'm saying, for what? He made a joke that she would have made. And he's trying to apologize constantly. She wouldn't take his calls. He had to do it. Anyway.
Yeah,
So
it
basically,
is pretty. I mean, you're like, I feel like I do like the initial fight just because it's so melodramatic, but it does get dragged out for a while.
Yeah, so basically the only three, so that's one of the qualms. The other qualm I have is like Fred's a little reductive and repetitive with the money concerns, but again, the dramatic parts of that make it worth it though. Getting the dramatic parts of him being, but it's just the fact that we kind of hit the same note a lot when we go to the bridal fair, the whole like wedding preparing kind of convention, as it were.
Uh-huh.
It's like, hey, it's like, what do you think I am, made of money? No, I think you're made of lard. Well, that's a good joke. Beyond that, let me tell you, that bleeds into the bigger problem. So you have that, but then it gets tied into something like the wedding whackers. So the wedding whackers is the trend.
The wedding whackers are most definitely the worst element of the movie.
And again, Tiki, this is the beginning.
I do like the one moment towards the end where they get won over by the
that's great.
The they want to.
I'm with you.
That is nice. That is nice.
It is.
But
doesn't save it, but it's great.
They don't need to be in the movie. They slow the movie down.
And Tiki, I have a theory as to why we have this and to why we can't get away from this in the Flintstone movies. Because the next three big Flintstone movies, even the sequel to this one where they have the kids, there's another crime plot. I haven't seen the Christmas one yet. I don't know if there's a crime plot in that.
I feel like we should do that one for seasonal shenanigans.
Well, I mean, it's a TV movie though. Oh, well,
yeah, but with Christmas in July, we only do TV episodes.
Well, no, Tika, sorry, now you got me turned around because, Tika, we probably are going to do it for seasonal shenanigans, if one will remember.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we went, anyway, so, anyway, but yes, Tika, that's a good idea. We should do that. Okay, my point is, I think, my theory is, I think the studio at this point in time, in the 90s, firm 90s, even in the 60s, I think this was true, but we can't just do slice of life in the feature length format. We need to jazz it up. I think that's the studio's thinking of like, we can't just have we can do slice of life in 20 minutes.
They didn't have trust in just telling it as a straight drama.
I know
that's such a straight drama for so much of its runtime.
Which again, I think the most compelling parts are the straight drama. Now, to be fair, I mean,
yeah.
Now let me say this though. The wedding whacker stuff by itself, that's fun. It's kind of
it's fun. It's kind of like Beagle Boys-esque.
Yeah, it's very Beagle. I have nothing against it. I just don't think it belongs in here at all, though. It's like, really, wedding whackers? We got to do this here? This is like maybe an episode of the Flintstones. This is not the whole...
exactly. That's what it feels like. It feels like an episode of the Flintstones kind of just jammed into an already, really good standalone movie.
And this again sets the precedent. And when we do live action films, we have a crime plot in there, and then there's another one in Rock Vegas. It's like we just keep
Rock
doing
Vegas is the big. Dragon Rock Vegas is going to be really interesting for me to revisit because I was kind of obsessed with it for a little while. But yeah, I'm sure it doesn't hold up.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure it started like it became like a fixture at this point where it was just kind of coincidental with like, okay, let's do a spy homage, which is, I mean, it's kind of criminal, but it's also spy espionage. You kind of have to have that in there. Do you need a guy in a costume? Probably not, but everything else, Anyway, let's see. Okay, so we kind of talked to again. Those are the problems I have, which are very kind of far and few between. Beyond that, I guess we should talk about the big heartfelt moments. Let's talk about this thing we're salivating to talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I'm sorry, real quick. We should talk about the when he gets fired, though. We should talk about, I guess, the transition. So, poor Mr. Slate. So I love at this point 20 years of dealing with Fred Flintstone. He's got a busted foot from the opening, and he's being. Think about it. I think he's being tremendously patient throughout the scene. Oh no! Tell him I'm not here.
Yeah.
Tell him I'm not here. Tell him I moved.
Oh God.
And then just oh God. So he does this. He's just going out of his way to try to avoid Fred, who then walks in the office. He roasts his boss and demands a raise, and then he hits the desk and just falls on his poor foot. So I don't blame Mr. Slate for firing Fred. This is what I'm saying. This is the one where the firing Fred Flintstone plot absolutely works. Where in Jetsons meets the Flintstones, like, really, we just gotta
but again, like we already established it takes like the familiar trope that's literally in every freaking episode of the Flintstones, and it turns it into a serious plot point. I love that.
Yeah, like, oh no, am I going to be fired? Well, no, you are fired this time.
Right.
So he earned the firing, and here's the thing, Tiki, just to speak to the kindness of Mr. Slate, I'm sure if Fred calmly explained things to Mr. Slate, maybe not right there in that moment, if he had explained things to Mr. Slate, why he's asking for the raise and everything, I think it might have reconsidered the firing. I think Mr. Slate could have.
Yeah, you're winning me over.
See, I like to think, maybe he would have been.
This is kind of our own headcanon here, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Mr. Slate could have, because Tiki, one of my favorite bits later on, the thing that made my heart just absolutely swell. The reason I love Mr. Slate is that scene later at the wedding, when the beautiful wedding's happening, and it's him and his wife, and I love Mr. Slate's wife too, by the way. And I love she gets worked into the sequel too at the top of it, by the way, like the Holly Rockabye Bye thing, just briefly. Anyway, so I just love this bit where he's just crying at the wedding. It's like, oh, I'm gonna give Flintstone his job back. Oh, George, you romantic, you.
Oh God!
Just the fact that Mr. Slate's a good guy. He gets put through the ringer a lot. He's a good guy.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, so the heart of the film, all the heart talk and stuff. So, as I mentioned, I love the heartfelt moments. I love giving Fred layers. I adored. I adored in relation to Pebbles and the Man Called Flintstones. We have a number of bits in this movie that I just kind of bring to the forefront. Like we go to the park and we see like the classic father of the bride, sort of like he's envisioning the daughter as the little girl, and the swing says they're getting ice cream in the park, and then of course, she's all grown up now.
Those scenes are damn effective, man. They really are. It's just like, you feel the loss,
Absolutely. So here's the moment that guts me.
Oh God. Okay.
So I don't know if you had this too. I think
I don't know. We'll see.
The saddest Flintstone moment the saddest Fred Flintstone moment I've ever seen. That is, it wells me up. Probably well me up what I'm talking about. It's just it's Fred selling the bowling ball to the heartless pawnbroker.
Yeah.
For $2
the fact
to
that
pay.
It's not... Okay, so let's break this down, Dragon. This honestly might be like. I mean, it's certainly like not an ET level of dramatic low.
No alien.
Like, just as far as like a domestic situation goes, it's like prized heirloom. It's like it can't get much worse than like he has to sell it for $2. It's like, what's he even gonna do with $2? It's like,
I know, he's just so desperate.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's.
And Tiki would get
worth anything at all, then it would have been a little bit more, it would have cushioned. But it's like, no, it's like it's not even going to help him. But Oh, yeah, I feel it. I
And
feel
he
it.
and he only bought the bowling ball, none of the other stuff, just the bowling ball, just to really
Yes, yes.
drive the screws in there. And Barney's there to bear witness to the folly of Fred Flintstone, to like the epic
Okay, so I
fall
feel
of the
like we
once
do kind of
proud
want to
man.
circle back around to Barney and Fred because like man, Barney and Fred's relationship does kind of get put through the ringer in this a
Because
lot.
Barney is very supportive, and he's keeping the secret and everything,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and Fred's then taking advantage of Barney. He really invests his savings in like the real estate scam to
You
try and
know
get his
what?
money
If there
back.
is like, I do feel like there's a little bit of a repetitive angle in this thing where I feel like Fred takes advantage of Barney maybe one too many times, and it's kind of like a little bit of a build up because once we get to the bachelor party, it's like, okay, Fred, like, you know, I mean, I guess what makes it work though is like by the time we get to the bachelor party, Barney is pissed. It's like
Oh, for
Barney's
sure.
like he's pissed off and he's not gonna take this shit anymore, and it's like I feel like once again, like kind of like with Mr. Slade, it's like we as an audience are like, yeah, I get it. Oh
Second
God,
movie, we
okay,
dress
Greg,
him up like a lady.
you ready for another kind of weird analogy?
Yes.
Okay, it's almost BoJack-esque because it's like we're rooting for Fred, but at the same time, we feel for the other characters and we feel the damage that he does to the other characters, and so it's like we're on the sides of the other characters too. And oh God, I don't know. This one's so good, man. It's like I don't even feel like the people who made this thing were intending it to be as good as it was.
But let me backtrack here. I'm going to cover a big thing with the bachelor party scene we should talk
Okay,
about.
go ahead.
Okay, so we get just one more thing on the saddest Flintstone scene I've ever seen. Just again, what just gets me is after just the event in itself is already selling the bowling ball for $2 to pay for his daughter's wedding, and just the sad walkout. That's what got me as a kid, and that always it's like, oh my god, just the way they've
Right,
shot
right.
this so dramatically. They've animated this so just I've never seen Fred Flintstone so sad. It's like he sold the totem of his a totem of his happiness and everything that he is. Twinkle Toes, his nickname. He's given
Uh-huh.
it up for his daughter's app. Anyway, it just anyways gets me. Anyway, the bachelor party though. On the flip side, another kind of like really sweet moment to me. I tell you, man, I love seeing fatherhood on Barney Rubble. I love that shade on him. It's one of the things I love about the live action movie, and I love it so much here, seeing kind of that, kind of at the end point where, after we do the typical thing, apparently we're like like we did in the Jetsons, we put Barney in drag yet again against his
Yeah,
will.
it's kind of a thing with Barney, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, regardless, so we kind of humiliate Barney in front of his fellow buffaloes at the stag party, at the bachelor party, and I love Bam Bam coming to the defense of his father.
Oh
You
my
know,
God. Yeah. Oh God. It's super dramatic, Dragon. It's
it
like
just I just felt it was like such a beautiful, one of the most beautiful, underrated. No, it's the father
because it's
son
like Bam
moment.
Bam. It's like he's seeing his father in like probably the most vulnerable position he's ever seen his father in
Yes,
his life.
I know, and see, that's what I'm saying. It's like the father son moment. No one ever talks about. It's just that beautiful
Uh
moment, like the
huh.
son being there for the father. It's like I'll give you an Albuquerque comparison. It's like Walter Jr. on his birthday consoling his father in a depression. During when Walt, after he got into his fight with Jesse in season 4.
Uh
That
huh.
whole
Uh huh.
the bug episode. So that whole it's very much. I believe that was Salute. I think, I'm not sure. Anyway, but yeah, I just love it. Again, Barney just brimming with fatherly pride over his son throughout the movie. And you see it kind of pay off like that was really sweet. Now again, let's the big symbol of the movie. Again, there's been so much great stuff already. The roller skate. We got to talk about the breaking of the roller skate.
Oh God. All right. All right. Jesus.
So I love this, Tiki. This was like an innocuous setup at the top of the movie. It's like, oh, the kids are growing up. You're gonna root for these two
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
kids.
It's
Now
it's
they've
kind of
grown
like
up
the
like.
swing set.
Yeah, but I was like this little thing of like, oh, yeah, exactly. Like, Wilma finds like the little, oh, look at her little skates, and then Fred makes the remark, oh yeah, I remember like slipping on that thing, and so many times they had to install a revolving door at the hospital, the ER. So innocuous little joke, And then at Fred's low of lows moment, when he's kicked out of the house and he's trying to sleep in Dino's dog house and it doesn't go well and he gets kicked out, he slips on the roller skate and
Oh my
breaks it.
god. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's literally in the dog house, and
Oh god, this movie's so fucking
I
good.
know, right? See, Tig, this is why all these years I've been hyping up I have a Dabba do. It's always fell with deaf ears, but now you see. Now you see.
All right, no, I'm genuinely geeking out for this thing, man.
Right?
It's better than any Flintstones movie has any right to be.
Yeah, so Tig, I just
God.
love that we took the slapstick and like the classic slapstick trope, and we just applied it as the symbol of his daughter's happiness and the love that he has for her and everything. It's like, oh, okay, a little father knows least kind of slapstick, and like he's broken it, and he needs to mend it. That just leads to him. He's just him realizing I'm a big jerk, and he's got to mend his friendship with Barney. He's got to fix what he's wrought in the movie. It's just, yes. So like just again, we've added so much dramatic crux to a little roller skate, and even better, when we're in Rock Vegas, Fred has this moment where he's about to gamble. It's like, yeah, Barn, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like the alcoholic, the recovering alcoholic going back to have the drink or something.
Yep, and he goes into his pocket to pull out some cash, and what does he find? The little roller skate wheel.
Oh my god!
It's like, yes, and then they again take this when we add layers to Flintstone right there. It's like, no, Barn, we can't do this. We got to go. It's like, yes! We did it! Okay, so let's talk about Rock Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a ton to say about it. It's mostly just like a musical number, but it is cool to see, Dragon, just the setting of Rock Vegas itself is the reason why I do have nostalgia for Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's all practical, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Drag, I'm just going to throw out there while we're on the subject of Vegas. Do you remember the Rugrats Vegas episode?
It's one of my favorite episodes, too.
Of course, I remember. Same, dude. Same.
You remember it felt like an event. I don't remember if it was just the length of a regular episode or not, because it felt like such an event.
It was 40 minutes.
Oh, it was an event.
It was an event, yes.
Yes, I remember that VHS tape, man. That's why I know that one, like the back of
Dragon
my hand.
That vacation song at the beginning.
Yes, at the top, and leaves behind the little plush, little.
All right, yeah, okay. We just have. Oh, we need to talk about that at some point.
Anyway. So, speaking of which, so again, we teed up the devastating flashback, and this was a gutsy call. It's kind of a gutsy gag, I gotta be honest. And it starts off as a joke, but it kind of, when you think about it, it's a little sad. Just the fact that Fred really ruined his wedding with Wilma.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
The fact that, just seeing her cry during her own wedding just really I completely forgot about that until the rest. Oh man, she was really depressed about that. She really.
And Dragon, what's dark about it is that it feels like it's just kind of like a whole marriage worth of resentment.
I mean, that's the thing, Tiki. I think, again, she could have said no. And she said yes, and she assures Pebbles, no, I looked into your father's eyes and I knew I was doing the right thing. But again, doing it in the most horrible of venues. And she loves him. That's why she said yes. And that's why she went through with it. But the event itself, like, Fred took all the romance out of it being cheap. And, and again, also got to put his mouth in his foot when he was talking to the mother-in-law. He insulted the mother-in-law. And again, bit of a leap if you really think about it. Again, typical Flintstones kind of event, but had legit consequence. They got to go to Rock Vegas. Can't get married because Wilma comes from money. Her mother is probably footing the bill for the whole wedding. She calls it off. It's called off. So anyway, so the fact that Fred, for the second time, Fred Flintstone returns to Rock Vegas, and I like that he has a chance. He has like a second chance at setting things right. Kind of a redemption story for Fred Flintstone for ruining his wedding and not letting his daughter go through the same thing, a la this graduate plan. Like, okay, we're just going to go to every one of the 100 chapels in Rock Vegas.
Yeah, it is very graduate-esque.
Yes, we got to stop the wedding. We got to do the whole wait, get on the bus.
Oh God,
that whole thing. A little less artful than that, but
One thing I will say though is that I know for a fact that like photography in Vegas and casinos in general is generally very frowned upon just because of the mobster element to it.
Real? Oh.
Huh. So yeah, I remember that even as a kid because I would my grandparents would take me to Reno and they'd be like, well, you could photograph the outside of the casinos and the lights and stuff, but don't take your camera into the casino itself. Like they warned me about that. So Dragon, I gotta say that's the only thing, like besides just them, getting the change of heart, that I do think the villains are like they do kind of like represent a genuine, threat when you're in a casino.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have no qualms with honestly, like the third act for the most part, like the chase in Rock Vegas, like disconnected from the movie is a lot of fun. I do like, again, like they're being chased through Rock Vegas. We have like the Vegasy hallmarks, only kind of Flintstone eyes with, we have like a Hope and Crosby musical number with Fred and Barney. We have like it's Rocco and Boldini as like the Siegfried and Roy act and the Showgirls mode. Like, yeah, there's fun stuff for sure. I'll tell you this with the action, as that guy's kind of point out here. Bam Bam will bam bam you if you mess with Barney. We have this really nice scene. Tick. It's a corny scene, but it really got me. It's really nice. Bam Bam saves Fred and Barney from the gunman. Of course, the gunman basically they have like little slingshots that shoot rocks, but still. Bam Bam, you feel the drama though, as they're on like on the cliffside of a volcano that could erupt. It says "Bam Bam," and Fred has this.
I love that there is a build up to the "Bam Bam" verbalized.
Yeah, I mean, we had it earlier in the kind of like a scene where like, what are you going to do if someone sticks a gun at you? And it's just like he just grabs Fred and demonstrates "Bam Bam," so he does it kind of casually, with a dramatic scene.
You're right. Payoff set up.
So with our payoff here, I love he says "Bam Bam," and like Fred has his eyes closed, like they got me. It says, "No, that Bam Bam, friend." That's a cute. That to me is like a darn cute gay. Oh, and he came through for him. That's nice. So let's see. Honestly, Tiki, in the end of it with the Rock Vegas stuff, I love with the confession from the wedding whackers and everything. I love that we give Fred a break in the end after all the hardship he's incurred through the movie. I love that, Barney, Barney did place a bet, and, the wheel kept spinning, kept doubling essentially, and his lucky number 13 paid off, which is what doomed him in the first place.
Right.
And it's a little bit Tiki. I love that Fred didn't beg Barney for the money or anything. I just love that like his congratulations, Barney, and Barney offers him like half of the loot, which is really nice. Anyway, so the wedding happens. It's a beautiful affair that gets Mr. Slade all teary-eyed. They had their vows, and of course, the perfect response from the daughter of Fred Flintstone as like, "Do you take this man? I yabba dabba do." So darn cute. And Tiki, tell me this. I want to know if you had this too, especially since you've just watched this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not like I watched it last night, so it's.
Well, I'm sorry. What I mean is, have you like this is the first time? Essentially, for this is the first time you've watched it, am I right? Or is this?
I want to say I know that I've seen episodes of the TV show with Pebbles and Bam Bam, but I think this is the first time I've seen this one in particular. Yeah.
Well, again, this is not even part of that show, so you're safe. So that's
okay. Yeah.
Like the show was in the 70s. This is like 93.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Here's the thing. So after watching this movie, are you humming in your? Do you have like a kind of like in your room in your head like the "I Yabba Dabba Do" song at the end, or is it just me?
It might be just you.
That's fair. I thought it was really catchy. It's like the jazzy "I Yabba Dabba Do."
I mean, to be fair, I just bought tickets to the first concert since pre-pandemic, and I'm just doing a complete deep dive into that band, and they've got like 20 albums, so my attention span for music is elsewhere at the moment.
Okay, that's fair enough. But let me tell you why. There's another reason that song's always blazing in my head, because it's coupled with my favorite scene in the movie next to that bowling ball scene. Okay, all right. I think one of the best moments in any Flintstone movie. It's a little moment. I think it's the classiest Flintstones moment I've ever seen. That again re-emphasize this could have been the send-off movie. Period. Like the send-off moment to the entire series, the entire property. You have Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera, who have been invited to the wedding. If you look there, an invitation was sent to them by name.
It's almost kind of like a Frank and Ollie style cameo.
I know, it's exactly a Frank and Ollie. Yeah. It's the precursor to the Frank and Ollie cameo. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. To me, this is like the classiest cameo you could ever imagine. It's just like this beautiful moment of, Joe, I always knew those kids would get together someday.
Oh my
Me too.
god.
And this is the bit that gets me, Bill. Me too, Bill. They were made for each other. It's like, oh my god.
Oh my god. That is cute. That is cute.
They were made for each other. Oh my god, that's like the most perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, this is funny, Dave. I want to get your thoughts on this. So they have the sequel setup, which this is what the sequel is all about in terms of like kind of what the
Ooh, sequel bait. All right.
So the sequel does actually get into what they set up here, where when we find out the kids, Barney's wedding gift was pretty much the remainder of the winnings, so they can kind of use it to go to Holly Rock. So Holly Rock is where Bam Bam's going to embrace his his screenplay writing, because he's basically written a meta screenplay on I Yabba Dabba Doo as a romantic comedy to take to Holly
No.
Rock. Yes, and that's what's in the sequel.
Oh my god, dude. Sign me up, bro.
See, Tiki, what I really want you to do, I really love you to do, is to watch Holly Rock Bye Bye, because it happens right before a Flintstones Family Christmas, so you'd had the whole trilogy.
Anyway. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That sounds amazing. That sounds so meta.
So yeah, it's very meta. So he's literally trying to sell the first movie when he's in Holly Rock as Pebbles is pregnant. So then, of course, this causes Fred and Barney to bicker as they always tend to do. And I love how the end credits show you the animation process. By the way, it's a classy touch.
And I do like the freeze frame picture at the end, the family photo with Fred and Barney hitting each other once again.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, Dragon, honestly, I feel like we've been gushing about this the whole podcast, so I don't really feel the need to do final thoughts on this.
Just easily the best of the Flintstone movies. I mean, come on.
All right. See one last bit from that guy. If Mr. Slate was the broker, Fred would have sold the bowling ball for a lot more. God damn it!
Yes, he would have. Yes, he would have.
All right. So big thanks to that guy for following along and keeping a lively commentary. It's always nice to have people in the chat with us as we go through these things. And all right, folks. Well, the credits roll. That's our cue to run home and put the saber-toothed tiger out unsuccessfully. Until we meet again for the next mammoth marquee feature. And have a Yabba Dabba Doo time.
Not the bowling ball. You could have gotten so much more. No.
Norman, we got in a fight.